Welcome to Reseller Recap, where we talk all things reselling across multiple platforms. Join us for real-life discussions on how we crush the elusive work-life balance. Grab a coffee and join us now.
Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Reseller Recap. And today we have Saadi with us from Eclat, and I'm so excited to have him on. I personally use him for taxes, but I'm going to have him give a little intro about himself, and then we'll get into it. And Emily will be joining us later on in this interview. Okay. Hi, Saadi.
Hi, Jen. Thank you for having me. So my name is Saadi Sabah. I'm a CPA. I'm a founder of Eclat. And I run a comprehensive accounting firm. Do I just start from where I began?
Yeah, tell us a little bit. I mean, okay. I know a little bit of your back history, but not everybody else does. So
okay, so it really it all started in college. I was a business management major. My girlfriend at the time, she told me I wasn't going to get a job, so she picked my major for me. Okay. And she said, "Oh, do it." She's like, "Do accounting. You're gonna math." I said, "Okay," and I ran with it. All the way. I got my first job in college. I worked for a Liberty Tax. It's like a tax preparation office, like H&R Block. So I started doing taxes that tax season. You know, to my surprise, you didn't need a license to prepare taxes. So I just started hiring. So at the time, just to my surprise, I started doing taxes for Liberty Tax, and after one season, I started getting all these clients just reaching out to me, say, "We don't want to go through here. Can you do it?" And then it started off as a side hustle. So I was in school. I was 20 years old. I started doing taxes for $50, $100. Then I finished school. I got my first job. And at that time, I'm in 3-4 tax seasons in. This was 2020, right when COVID hit, everything happened. I finished school. I got a job as a staff accountant. And I was still doing taxes on the side. And this thing was actually building up to something. And then my first year, then I think I made more than my staff accountant salary. I remember, and then I was like, okay, I have something here, but it was still scary to go venture off on your own when you work full time, especially when you're in that world. So it was just I really dragged it along until one point, what happened was every time I quit my job, I remember that Italian construction company owner, I quit my job. He gave me a raise every time. So I quit 3 times in 18 months, but he kept making it harder to quit because I'm like, okay, now I have to match this and make more. Because again, when you work for yourself, it's you eat what you kill, right? So I really dragged it along until one point where my phone was blowing up at work. I literally just had enough, and I went to my boss. I told him, I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. And then I just started doing it on my own. And thank God that was the best decision of my life because now I work from home. I turned the bottom floor of my house into an office, and life's just been a lot more flexible.
Yes.
So that was really important for me. And how I got started in this whole e-commerce world was by accident. I had a friend I went to high school with. His name is Surtech.
Okay. I didn't know you were actually friends with
Yes,
Surtech.
no. I went to high school with Surtech.
Cool.
And then he started doing this Amazon stuff and started teaching it and doing all these things. And then he had a Discord community where he invited me. And then he said, all these people have tax questions. Just start posting tips and start helping them. And before you know it, he started growing. And then in the early stages of his Discord community, he hosted a coffee shop event. He invited me to speak there. That's why I met Diana.
Okay.
So we spoke at a coffee shop. I just started giving, little basic tax advice, things like that, mistakes I see all these new businesses make, not just e-commerce sellers. And next thing you know, I just became the e-commerce guy because I'm working with a bunch of them. And then I went from one community to another community. And then next thing you know, I'm in 10 e-commerce Discords. I'm in the CFM community. And now I just established myself with e-commerce. And I said, okay, let me run with it. And, here we are.
Because we are a tough group. I mean, we have some tough numbers. So I was like, why would you want to voluntarily deal with this?
It's scary. It's messy. And a big thing I saw was most accountants, they don't even have a personality. It's so easy. I just talk to somebody and just explain certain things, and they just say, no one ever took time out of their day to let me know. I had a guy, he came from another accountant, and he just takes money out of his retirement every year, but he shouldn't pay taxes. Every year I pay $5,000, $6,000. He was like, he wasn't even aware. He was taking money out of his 401k, and every year he's paying a 10% penalty. I'm like, I was like, why are you doing this? You're going to be retiring soon. You make money. Why are you paying 10%? He's like, I didn't know about this. So for like 6 years, he paid probably 30 grand in like just penalties alone. And had he just known there was a penalty, he said he wanted to take it out and like all this other stuff. So really, I just see like most accounts, they don't have a personality, and a lot of them are really older. They don't have the time. I understand the why. It is very demanding when you have like hundreds of people. I got a letter. I need this. All this stuff going on, and it's really it takes a toll. You have to like be willing to serve people. So it's not for the faint of heart. But that's pretty much my story and how I got into this whole thing.
That makes sense. So I was like, I don't think you ever sold. So, it's like, why would you, pick? But that makes total sense, because at least you had him to kind of ask the questions of how business was set up and, why our numbers are the way they are and so choppy and such weird, you sold this, but how'd you only make this? And it's just such a...
That was the biggest one, right? When you get those 1099Ks from Amazon, it says, whoa, you did $1 million. People get scared. And I was like, really, the payout was like 400 grand for the year. So it's the 600K just difference.
Yeah.
It's scary, but really, it's really simple. It's not it's just not knowing, right? When you bring it to a random accountant, they're like, oh, you owe 300 grand. Someone's going to have a heart attack.
Yes.
But yeah, it's really not as complex as, I guess maybe I'm working for it for so long, but it's not that complex once you just get to know the business owner and they understand, hey, look at my bank statements. I have XY being deposited. I know this says this, but where's that discrepancy? And then just working with people, talking to them, helping them, and all that other good stuff.
I know it's definitely, because I was doing it on my own for so long, because I was like, it's not, I'm a numbers person too, it's like, I used to add up the JCPenney's catalog for fun as a kid. So I
don't know if I was doing all of that, but
I know I'm like the 9 key. So like, I'm real fast on the 9 key. So that, I know, that's why I was like, I can do this. Like, it's not, the numbers just need to make sense and match. But sometimes with this, they just don't. Like, especially we've found like the weird glitch with even like Walmart, because their year runs like February to February. So if you try to pull certain reports on the Walmart side, it just won't ever match up with your numbers. And that works for them. That's great. But that doesn't work for the federal government. So like, how am I going to make this make sense? So yeah, that's crazy. But
and I'm sorry I missed the first couple of minutes, but we're kind of talking about differences between Amazon and Walmart. What are some of the differences that you're seeing, as far as like Amazon has been around so long, so there's just more available, but what should sellers kind of pay attention to and watch out for?
Well, I'm not gonna dive into the specifics of my clients, but from what I'm seeing, there's way more opportunity right now in Walmart than Amazon. It looks like, and it's starting to catch on. Amazon's more stringent. There's more requirements. It's actually getting more and harder to sell. I have people that were crushing it in 2020. I'm talking literally like anyone can make money on Amazon, but now it's really hard. So it's way more difficult. Walmart's much more. If you look at the just get started, I think Walmart, the opportunities there a lot more. It's underdeveloped versus Amazon. It seems saturated. It's harder and harder to work with, at least with the wholesale model, what I see, and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Are you seeing clients having a hard time pulling the reports then on the Walmart side? Like, should they be doing more manual, or what are you finding is kind of the best way for people to track numbers over there, in your opinion? So
really just a matter of reconciling every month. If you let this thing go on for 6-7 months untangled, it's going to be a nightmare. Yeah. But you will be able to if you do it on a month-to-month basis, you implement like a system of just pulling the actual reports, you can reconcile between it. You use all these beautiful softwares. I think Sellerboard has a Walmart integration now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, just taking advantage of softwares and not trying to DUI everything, right? Invest in these tools, because it will save you time and a headache later on. But to all my clients, they use either Seller Board or Inventory Lab, more over Seller Board. At least that's what I encourage them to use, because it's easier for me. But nonetheless, yeah, just use the tools available, and everything should tie up. There always is a balance, right? So if the one report says X, but your payouts say Y, there's a difference there, and it's not like a guessing game. There are there's data to support it, right? So you shouldn't be guessing.
The nerds are really going to love this call. When you said beautiful softwares, I was like, oh God, Jen, Morgan, all the nerds in the community are going to appreciate this conversation. I love that for them. This is the call for the nerds.
Oh my gosh. Well, we talk about, like, Morgan and I just the other day did a whole geek out on Excel, and we were like trying to explain how to do like formulas to everybody. And we're like, okay, maybe we need to have like an Excel 101 class, because we're like, did you guys not take Excel in college? And we're like, okay, but you can YouTube videos. And then we're like, this is what we do in our free time, Morgan and I, is watch YouTube videos on Excel.
A lot of people aren't as technology savvy as we like to believe. But with now, even I use ChatGPT for my prompts and my formulas, and it's been a wonder, believe it or not. So with all these tools out there, I think they're building a AI version of Excel. So you could simply now, you're going to pull data sets, you're going to ask for what you want, say filter it from here, sort it from lowest to biggest, or you could actually prompt it to give you those pivot tables and more advanced stuff in Excel by simply just writing it and uploading the data set. Of course, you're going to have to format it a little bit and do something, but it is getting easier and easier, especially with this new technology, right? So if you're not using it, you will get left behind. So I always tell people, try to find a way to integrate AI even into your daily life, just to make things easier, organize things, draft emails, just use it and get resourceful with it, because this thing is going to get more and more ludicrous if you don't know how to use it, you'll get left behind versus people that know how to use it.
I find that people who jump into the community or reaching out, yes, Amazon is difficult to sell on right now, but people make a lot more money than they think they will, especially with Walmart. You get in, and a month, 2 months later, you're kind of bootstrapping it along, and then you're like, wait a minute, I made 6 figures all of a sudden, or sometimes even more. And then they're like in a world of hurt because nobody really understands what they're doing. Their H&R Block doesn't know what they're doing. It's such a mess. So for somebody who started and it escalated out of control, which this is why you hire somebody like Saadi, because it's so valuable to your overall business, like the time, the effort, the payback is so valuable. But before somebody comes to see you, what are the things that they can do to kind of get their business in order and create structure, so they're not like a year or two down the road and then having to figure it out?
Well, the first start would be to start getting some sort of bookkeeping processes together, right? Do you have a P&L? Are you looking at it every month? Is it more of I'm just looking at my bank statement or my bank balance, right? So just implementing a process to start your books, because no matter what, you're going to have to do it, right? And if you don't do it and you let your accountant handle it during tax time, one, you're going to pay a lot in terms of compliance costs. And then two, there's no real benefit by then, because the year's already over, right? The whole point of having books is so you can make some decisions now to implement. I made 20. How are you going to know, should I invest in or buy this vehicle or buy this new computer or whatever the case is during year end to help mitigate that tax bill? So there's things you can do during the year to kind of be proactive with it. Whether you set up a retirement account, there's a whole bunch of strategies, paying your children, all this stuff, right? You could do these things during the year. Come December and you just start doing it, technically now there's nothing you could do. You need time. So, it's going to be your ally to start some sort of process now. And if you don't have a set of books together, go work on getting it together. Do a little bit of research, maybe outsource, maybe reach out to a member in the community and see what they're doing in terms of tracking everything and work off of that. Doesn't make sense to get a bookkeeper right away, but if you're crossing 10,000 or more in sales a month, maybe it might be worth your while and not worth your time to sit there trying to guess if it's right.
Right.
But that'd be my suggestion. Get some sort of process together and some sort of bookkeeping, implemented.
Yeah.
Whether you do it yourself, outsource, there's resources online. You can learn. It's not difficult. It may be time consuming to learn, but once you get it, no one knows your account better than you. So once you do understand that, your bank statement, you have 2 accounts, it'll be easy for you to piece this together. And once you get 1-2 months down, the rest is just clockwork. Same process every month.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I feel like we always tell all the new people immediately get a business account, because I feel like new sellers in the beginning aren't sure. They're like, oh, it's only going to be kind of a side hustle thing. And then they start mixing their personal with business and trying to separate those expenses. And then at the end of the year, trying to look at your bank statement, you're like, wait, what was this? Okay, did I actually buy stuff to source, or was this stuff for my home? And I'm like, immediately get a separate credit card, separate bank account. Just don't.
Yeah, and then you want the benefits of an LLC because it doesn't do anything in terms of a tax perspective, but it gives you asset protection. And now, what the hell does that mean? God forbid you do something wrong. You buy and sell a product, someone gets hurt. I don't know what the case is. And now you're getting sued all of a sudden, right? You want that protection because God forbid you're selling in your name, your home is up for grabs, your vehicles, your retirement accounts, anything to satisfy that judgment. But when you have an LLC, it's like a layer of assurance, right? If you only have $50 in the bank account and nothing else going on, that's the most anyone could ever get. So people, they underestimate what a business is. You guys got to understand this is it's a real thing you're doing. So once you form an entity, you should think and operate like that.
So why do people, because I feel like it's a big thing lately, this talk of like having a sole proprietorship versus an LLC. Can you explain like what is really the difference, and why are people, I feel like people are like, I just have a sole proprietorship. I'm like, why? Like, first of all, I know people are losing their Walmart account because you're not actually supposed to sell without an LLC on Walmart, but can you kind of explain the differences or why?
So from a tax perspective, there is no difference between a single member LLC or a sole prop, meaning you file a Schedule C that goes attached to your 1040 tax return. It's just the same form. The only thing an LLC does is provide asset protection. That's the only benefit of an LLC. Now, if you have 2 members in the LLC, you're a partnership. And you need an LLC to make an election to be taxed as an S Corp or a C Corp if you want to. But from a sole prop, the strictly LLC perspective, there is no tax difference. You get the same write-offs, the same benefits. Now, an LLC will provide you more structure, right? You have a separate account, you're not commingling things, and you have asset protection. But from a tax perspective, in a perfect world, technically, whether you spend it out of your personal account or a business account, if it's for the business, it's still deductible. If you made money and deposited it into a personal account or a business account, it's still revenue. And having an LLC will just give you more structure, make things easier, and give you asset protection and all that other good stuff. But no difference in terms of a write-off perspective or a tax perspective. You file the same thing.
Okay. It's just covering it and making it a standalone, like separated from you. Because does the EIN is only once you're an LLC?
So you could get an EIN as a sole proprietor. Or you could get it as an LLC. Now, LLC has that ring to it, establishes a level of professionalism, right? Versus Saadi services versus professional tax LLC. It has that ring to it, right? You're a company. So there are benefits to it, especially maybe not in the online arbitrage model, but when you're working with other businesses, they tend to prefer to do business with other businesses, right? They don't want to deal with individuals, at least not at that level. So there are benefits to it. You should have an LLC. There's room for it in every scenario. And if you're serious about doing something with this side hustle or business, you should act like it and do what you need to do.
Yeah. Right. No, and I think that's why Walmart is saying like no to those, because they want to work with businesses. They want businesses selling on their platform, not single people. I mean, they know a lot of us are, working out of our home offices and stuff, but they want it to come across as professional, at least facing for their customers. So I think that's what do you think? I mean, you think that's what they're doing? I don't know.
Well, sorry, my kids are just busting in the room about 100 times. So
we already talked about that because he's like, oh, your kids are already off at school because his wife's a teacher. So they're still in school back east.
What?
Yeah. Next Thursday they finish. So it's gonna be a good summer.
Oh no, we've been out for like a month now. It feels like 2 weeks of my life.
I wish I can hear them out there fighting. They keep coming in. I'm like, leave me alone.
An hour.
Yeah. We seriously need you to do like a crash course for dummies on taxes because this is just good. I mean, I think it's something that it's the not knowing, and it makes sellers afraid. It makes small business owners afraid because, you see those reels online that it's like they're shaking, filling out their information. Because if you do one thing wrong, they're going to go to prison because that's the feeling,
Yeah.
So I think just talking about it and making a part of the conversation kind of like demysticizes. I don't know if that's the right word, but
And again, it's not a scary thing dealing with the IRS or the state taxing authorities. At the end of the day, you got to understand they just want their money. That's all it is. It's not going to be like go to jail, don't go to jail. If you're not committing fraud on a outright scale, there's nothing to worry about. Now, if you are, yes, you should be worried, right? But filling a form out wrong and all these other things, everything can be fixed. You got to remember, I think back in the day, people really demonized the IRS and state taxing authorities because it just benefits the hands of professionals and accountants, because it's really not that. I hear all these commercials like, Optima tax relief or IRS debt's $50,000, we waive fresh start initiative, all these crazy things where there's only like three options to fix a debt with the IRS. I'm not going to elaborate on this here, but it's fairly simple. People could solve their own problems had there just been a little bit of education and effort. You don't need to get a tax. I have people that they'll go to a case for a tax attorney it's like a 3-step process and a phone call where you could fix this. So I think the IRS again and state tax authorities have been demonized because, again, I think that's what happened back in the day, and they really wanted to keep it like in the hands of professionals versus doing it yourself. At least that's my guess.
Yeah. You know what we need to start thinking of it as, Emily, is like their IRS is Amazon, and yes, they could come for you, but you can call account support and like actually talk to them and find out what you need to fix.
But pretty much that's it.
Small,
But here's the thing though, with the IRS though, it's like hell trying to get someone on the line. I have to if I have a call, I'll wait till 7:59 and get ready to ring it on the dot. So it's still a 15-20 minute wait. But if you do it after, it's 30 to 60 minutes and it ends up dragging for it could be up to 2 hours, and it's just the most simple thing. But essentially, yes, it's like Amazon support.
I feel like it's the same support where sometimes you get someone that really knows what they're talking about, and sometimes I had one guy that he was like, "You will call me Mr. Whatever," and I'm like, "Okay, Mr. Whatever." You still have not answered my questions. When I was switching to S Corp, that took me a year and a half for them to finally accept the paperwork and find out what the right documents, and they lost stuff. I even sent stuff certified that they had a sign for it or whatever, and they're like, we don't have it here. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stay on the line. I'm faxing it right now. They're like, you have 15 minutes to fax it to us. And I'm
what?
Hang on, I'm faxing it now. Don't hang up with me.
Yes, and they will do that. Yes. I always prepare the faxes before or while I'm on the call because I know they don't want to wait. And again, it's a luck of the draw. You get someone really experienced, or you get a brand new person that has no idea what they're doing. And they'll give you wrong information. And believe it or not, they are wrong a lot of the times. And you think they would be more tech savvy or more up to date. No, they're still operating 15 years ago. So it's the same procedures from 2010. And that's what we're dealing with. So it's really hard to get things done on the phone with the IRS, and everything's by mail.
Yep.
It takes weeks, months, if not. And again, they give you all this nonsense, but it is the luck of the draw when you have an issue, because you can deal with someone really knowledgeable and can help you, and then at the same time, other ones will say, "Hey, I'll put you on hold," disconnected. And the odds of them banging it on you are probably 1 in 3. Because I'll have a case so bizarre. I remember literally 2 days ago, it's a pretty bad case. I called them. They said, "This is a mess. Let me review the account for 5 minutes and I'll put you on hold." Disconnected. Because they just don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? It's for them, they're working from home. It's 11. It's like 9 in the morning on a Monday, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not doing that," and that's just hanging on you. And there's no accountability, and that's the problem with government agencies right now. There's no accountability.
Yeah.
But anyways, I could go on for hours about it, but it's really a hard process. The state is usually easier; they'll answer right away. There's someone you can actually go and visit, but
they seem so nice because I feel like I did that and I was like, hey, do I owe this or this document came or whatever? And she's like, oh yeah, if this is a problem, like, why don't you look at this? I can stay on. Let me walk you through what screens. I'm like, wow, like, okay. And she's like, thanks for calling. I'm like, who says thanks for calling? The government agency.
Wow.
Man, so you don't get like a special number of like
there's a tax pro line, but it doesn't they're just as bad.
Okay.
Sometimes I have to educate them on literally like what it says on their website.
Wow.
Yeah, it's you think so.
That's insane. I know we kind of talked about like the benefits of getting an LLC, which we keep saying it over and over. You have to have this for Walmart, otherwise they're going to kick you off. I probably get that. I was suspended on Walmart every day on Instagram, like, well, okay, here we go. Yeah. But what are the other things? Like once sellers get up and started, what are the other things they need to look out for? Deadlines, deductions that will save the money?
So bookkeeping would be what we spoke about, would be tracking all your applicable deductions. What will save them money, the biggest one that no one does, and I think I posted up in the community, making some sort of estimated payments. If you look at your tax return and you have a balance due, you'll see that there's an amount for a penalty there. And it doesn't have to be from a business, right? If you have a extra income or you didn't withhold enough on your W-2 or you have a big capital gain, they want it during the year when it happens. Had they not do it, you will pay extra. Most people don't even pay attention to that number. So that's one of the easiest ways to save money. And then there's simple stuff, right? Like contribute to a traditional IRA. You can get a little more savvy depending on your state, invest in bonds, open up a 529 plan for your kids. There's all these things you can do. But I guess the easiest way to save some money first is doing some bookkeeping, because you won't miss any deductions, right? And have that LLC, because if you're paying for things on receipt, cash, you're sourcing at Marshalls and you're paying cash, you have a receipt, you lose it. There we go. That you're paying tax on profits you didn't even make. So really having that process down. And one of the biggest tax deductions available for Schedule C single member LLC filers would be their home office deduction. So bring that up to your account to say, hey, I'm working out of my house, I'm sourcing, I'm prepping, whatever you're doing. That's a big deduction there. But other than that, it's not as fancy as everyone makes it out to seem to be, right? And it should be more straightforward. What is a tax deduction? Anything ordinary and necessary for the business, right? So if I'm an accountant and I prep taxes, my tax software fee is deductible because I need it. But me going on a trip with my friends to Utah, that has nothing to do with this. So it's pretty obvious. And you know what is related. If you ask, people know what's related to their business or not, but they're trying to think like some elaborate scheme, or how can I write off my Xbox bill or my TV or whatever. But that has nothing to do with your business. So it's really it's more obvious than people make it out to seem, and it's not as much of a guessing game, I guess.
Right.
Really.
I know. I always try to, Morgan and I were talking about this the other day. Like if I had a separate, like I took my home office and it was a separate building, what stuff am I paying for at that building? And then that's how I knew like what I should be deducting from my home office. Like there's electricity, there would be internet, there would be a phone line, there would be,
rent,
like toilet paper, rent. There would be maybe snacks in the, there'd be stuff that would exist in that office. And then that's the stuff that I need to be deducting.
Right.
Yeah, that new kitchen renovation, that has nothing to do with this. So we're not going to put that in there. It's straightforward. And then with your home office, if you rent an apartment, you deduct a prorated rent, right? Or if you have rent. If you own the home, you get to write off the mortgage interest and the property taxes prorated, not the basis. So stuff like that. But home office deduction is huge. especially for people just starting off. That pretty much applies to every new seller. So just make sure you're tracking that.
Yeah, I measured the square footage for mine. It was like, okay, measure every space that it is using and that is standalone, that we don't like co-use, it is
correct.
Strictly, I was like, measure that to get my amount to then, okay, if this is my total mortgage, it's the percentage of this or percentage of,
I've had cases like 3-4 years ago. The person gave me an incorrect square footage of their home, and the letter actually references 3 Realtor, Redfin, and Zillow for total square footage. And then they asked for clarification of discrepancy because he put a smaller amount to make a higher percentage that was applicable to be written off. And it was and then they wanted 3 sources. And when I actually spoke to the rep, they actually cited Redfin, Realtor, and Zillow. So that information is public. So that's the only case I've had it. But given it was a unique case, but still, they were looking at something else. But when they look at something else, they look at everything else now. And they find it.
Like Walmart Googling our addresses.
Yes. All this information is public, believe it or not. It's really easy for them to catch these things, especially social media. I have people that ask me crazy questions like these influencers, can I write off a watch and this and that? And it's one of the most abused and easy things they look out for. But they're looking at social media. There's a task force for looking at people's social medias, believe it or not. This is for like people doing like, all these people on like Love Island and all this other stuff, like all these shows.
I was gonna say, stop getting your tax advice from the Real Housewives. Immediately to jail.
Half of them have gone to jail for it. Yeah.
But that is funny because like if you're on your taxes, you're poor, but then on your social media, you have like cars and jewelry.
Yeah, it's a question. It's like this guy claimed $30,000 and he's driving a Lamborghini with a Rolex. Like it's like, whoa.
Hilarious. Okay,
it always reminds me of that scene from The Wolf of Wall Street.
We are going to pause our interview with Saadi right here for the week. You can catch part 2 next week on Reseller Recap. Bye.